Hello, excuse me. Are you there? Can you hear me? Anyone out there? Uh-oh. Hi YouTubers, welcome back to my channel of an everyday encounter and everyday typical life of an aspect. As you're following away, basically, I'm wondering what was that about. I am going to talk to you about that has been lying on my heart to actually do this in this series, basically, of a topic called invisible disability. What it's going to cover today is basically the definition of invisible disability, the triggers, the causes of the invisible disability, the impact of the invisible disability. Pretty much, is this a problem for many of us with the invisible disability? If so, how can we do, or what we can do about it, hopefully maybe to fix or to address this more and actually, you know, solve that problem if it was. If there was any solutions, and maybe some examples what it feels like to have an invisible disability. Here's say, like, as you heard in my intro there, to get your guys' attention. Right, let's begin. Invisible disability is defined as pretty much disabilities that ain't immediately predominant or apparent in any given stage of the diagnosis. Sometimes, as I said many times before, some of the diagnoses that we have is prevailing underneath the diagnoses, be it like, for example, schizophrenia, bipolar, and the like, pretty much. Sometimes it does, however, show in the underlying diagnoses, even though some of the diagnoses can be basically the wrong diagnosis at that given time, because many of times with these invisible disabilities that we have, sometimes it can basically trick us in a way of how the, you know, DNA and genetics work in our everyday life. Pretty much wants to play tricks. Let's just mix it up a bit, guys, you know, sort of thing, you know. And yeah, sometimes, for example, it is most common for like this to happen in people that are depressed, or even maybe for people like me with AS and they have been clinically diagnosed pretty much with ADD and the like, because as I said, sometimes there needs to be more knowledge and research on this of certain invisible disabilities that lies within this, however. Another one is, for example, though, some people that are hearing impaired or are blind, pretty much, or visual impaired, shall we say, who don't wear glasses or pretty much have to trust themselves on having hearing aids, or even maybe helping hearing dogs or something along these lines, may not obviously appear disabled to some people in the naked eye, even though pretty much, as I've realised, that there are so many people that assume that just because they're not wearing glasses or hearing aids that they're not, you know, deaf, blind or whatever, but they can be. But then, like, how I look at it though in this is how we approach them, what we're going to say. You know, we need to tread carefully sometimes not to maybe make that person feel uncomfortable, or maybe just to the point that they may feel that we are just getting on their skin on a way that is going to affect them one way or another. Invisible disabilities can also be chronic illnesses, as I explained before, for example, like depression, and conditions that can significantly impair normal activities, however, of what we take for granted, be it, for example, like, you know, we like to be outside connecting with nature or breathing and the like, just to walk around. This can also be caused by the hidden disabilities. Some of the hidden disabilities, however, can interfere with our everyday tasks that we do every day, that can cause interruption in our everyday routine, be it like, for example, if we get up in the mornings, brush our teeth, have breakfast, ready to go for work, school, and then all of a sudden there's a moment there that we think, like, maybe like some form of anxiety maybe, or some sort of feeling in us that's swooping us so much in the way of a cyclone of an emotion, and we're thinking, you know, negativity in that. But how I look at it, I try to basically, despite that invisible disability that's holding me back, be it depression, be it, you know, my AS and all that, that I try to recycle it into positivity, especially with some people that are negative towards me, you know, throughout my day, that I may come across some people that are negative to me, you know. Haters gonna hate, players gonna play, you know. My motto is, you know, just to do the opposite effect, you know, do the ripple effect, you know, do one good thing and hopefully they'll do the rest. But then again, you know, many people have saying to me, oh, it doesn't always work like that, Karen. But then again, you know, that's up for you guys to say or do. Sometimes, however, in our everyday situations, be it, like I said, for these everyday tasks that we take for granted pretty much, like, and can cause inevitable moments where, like, it limits us to the point where certain boundaries are needed for some of us, you know, to be in our everyday life without these certain disabilities. You know, another thing to remember is though, like, spoon theory was based on a female that was doing everyday tasks, for example, and she took away the spoons, you know, and that's how, like, people with invisible disabilities are like. They may have a lot to do in their way of doing their everyday tasks, despite that, as I said, certain limitations, be it whatever it may be, and then to the point, like, the spoons just disappear to one thing, sort of thing. Anyway, sometimes, like, many times, when it comes down to this, though, with some people with invisible disabilities, like I said before, with me, I get social anxiety. Sometimes I get so worn out, down and out when it comes down to socialising in a large group for longer periods of time. Even though, yes, I believe that I can push through it, regardless, it can be tiring, it gives me headaches, it makes me head spin and everything else, but then again, you know, many people need to just be aware and understand that, you know, I am not being rude if I walk away or I try to excuse myself from a given situation. Be it, like, for example, if a situation arose at work, if I was at work doing customer service and customer desk, pretty much, and someone came banging at me, you know, really angrily and all that, and then there's a long queue waiting to be served of other, you know, bits and pieces, and then there's just one angry customer just there, and then, you know, I need to just reflect, rewind, and actually maybe take a step out of that situation and maybe give it over to someone else to deal with. Even though many people may think I may go the wrong way about it, but then I shouldn't have to actually explain myself time and time again how I go about my behaviours or my actions, sort of thing. But then again, I thought to myself, due to the lack of knowledge and understanding and awareness of how people work on the autistic spectrum, autism spectrum, I should say, correct me, that basically, that no matter what though, that, like I said before, everybody on the autistic spectrum scale, they'll work in different ways. You know, not all people with autism are the same. They'll work to a point where they feel comfortable, where they think that they'll be able to be accepted and be alright in their own skin and actually deal with whatever is to come towards them. However, people on the spectrum, me included, I get certain silly comments or stupid comments and thoughts patterns from others around me, basically, you know, oh, you don't look autistic, you look normal, you know, you act normal. Another one is basically that you don't seem to have AS, even though, you know, the facial features doesn't say it all. I'll tell you this, in the way of traits of people with autism and AS, they are different. It's not always based on their facial. There's other traits that coincide with this condition, like any other kind of diagnosis that you get, be it depression and the like. I also get pretty much also, you're too friendly, you're too kind, you know, even though I thought basically, you know, people with AS or autism ain't empathetic enough. But then again, hello, people with autism or AS and that are different. I'm a kind of girl that I put myself out there and trying to help people regardless. Yes, I'm getting myself slapped in the face a few times about certain people that may not be able to help themselves, sort of thing, at the moment, or just being able to just give my own advice. As I said before, many people come to me for my advice and then I feel like, okay, what's the point? Sometimes I give up, you know, I gave you my advice and then you slap it in my face and then you tend to blimmin' challenge me to the point of basically, why are you quiet, you know, and all this nonsense. And you should know why I'm quiet. I sit there and observe my surroundings and people's traits and stuff, and I'm just the kind of girl that, as I said many times before, will mimic the behaviours or, you know, play it in a film strip in my mind of how to act around different people. You know I may not be too much socially engaging, but then again, many people will tend to look at me thinking, you know, this is the wrong way about it. But then again, also, this is really my peeve here about it, you know, what I'm explaining right now to you, that sometimes when I do try to give my advice, do not slip it back in my face, take it or leave it, as I said, you know, take it on board, maybe just digest it, you know, then maybe do what I say. If not, then just, you know, do what you want with it, even if you think I don't know what I'm talking about and stuff, even though many people time and time again have taught to me as if I'm a 5-year-old. But it's like I said, people with autism or IS, they tend to be looked upon as if they're a small child, you know, despite their facial features and whatever they look like, you know. Of course I am human, of course I've got feelings, basically, okay, and emotions. I'm also human too. I poop, I eat and all that, and what disgusts me is to the point that many people mistreat others just because that I want to, like I've noticed some people want to be high in glory due to the lack of understanding or knowledge and know-how, or even just to the point of their pride and ego of certain people around me that I've been in my social circle for so long that, you know, it doesn't take two to make things right. I reckon it's basically, to me, is it takes more courage and gut to actually acknowledge that we are wrong and actually apologise to a person, be it if we said something that offended them, that we had that first step to make, saying, I'm sorry for saying this, you know, I didn't mean to, or something along these lines, just to get around it. Okay, as I said, sometimes socialising doesn't come always easy and natural to me. Okay, usually I have to, as I said, make a little film scenery, basically on a film strip, seeing what it is, and just go with it, you know. Sometimes also, I get to use more of my energy when I'm socialising, and also when I'm socialising, as I said, observing and all that, looking black and white through people. Many people think that's scary, but like sometimes I feel in my spirit, sometimes I know the person before I actually get introduced to them, of their auras, behaviours and all that towards me. Sometimes I don't mean to be this way, even though despite that, yes, many years ago I was abused, thinking it was acceptable that, you know, being abused, you know, sweared at, be it physically and all that, mentally and all that, was acceptable in my life. But then again, now I'm coming to terms it's not acceptable, as I said so many times before. Yes, I will try to socialise though, however, as I said so many times before, to a certain point and degree, but I get tired out so easily that my social energy tank needs to be refueled and refilled to a point where I need to just basically have a timeout period. Sometimes, however, you've got to remember that that ends is fast. As this is due to my brain getting so tired and so overwhelmed with feelings and emotions and thought patterns that's just going all over the place in my brain, you know. And then if it does happen first, I read people in depth and more when it becomes so intense and overwhelming for me. Many people may think I'm crazy. That's their problem. You know, everyone shouldn't have to have a label, but that's more in a piece of labels part 2, basically, of I am not who you think I am. When I was younger, however, I was a real vulnerable young woman and been taken advantage so many times just because of the pressures and also just of people around me that I thought they were there as friends, you know. But then I realised as I've grown older and mature that many people on our journey, regardless of AS or not, they're there for a reason. You know, some will be on the same wavelength of our journey, chapter, whatnot. Some may be left behind, sort of thing. But then that's fine, because many people, as I said before, will tend to misunderstand us and misread us, sort of thing, as I have. And that's caused so many confusion and conflicts in my circle time and time again. And it's like, you know, sometimes it just feels like that it's a one-sided wall conversation or just a one-sided thing. I have to do what they want. But then sometimes it's like when I do what they want, you know, I'm thinking to myself later, did I really want to do this? You know, because I've learned now I shouldn't be pleasing others. I should be trying to do what I feel is right for me, even if it means losing friends along the way, even if it means basically that, you know, people are going to hate on me for what I may say next or do, to the point that they don't understand. But then again, who cares? You know, at the end of the day, just as long as my being, I feel happy and know what I'm doing is right in my own being, so to speak. Okay, also another one was I used to misread cues and body languages to the point where people were like looking at me really strangely and thinking that Kieran's nuts or whatever. You know, but as I'm getting older and wiser to some degree, as I said, I am learning now to read different body languages, how people are going about it, different cues. Even though, yeah, okay, I may still misread people, even though some people in my social circle say, this is not what I mean, Kieran. You know, well, okay, if this is not what you mean, you say one thing, you do another, can you please clarify? That's all I'm asking, so we can't always have all these conflicting issues. because I want to come into the middle of you guys and actually understand how you guys work. Instead of you guys maybe tending to think, you know, I should be out on the outer circle sussing you guys out. You know, it's based on communication and connecting and being able to know each other in a way that hopefully thing. But I notice that with some people in my social circle, basically they'll hide in themselves. They're good at hiding themselves, basically, of who they really are as a person. Sometimes maybe it's a fear factor of what people may think of them, especially what I may think of them. But then I was like that once upon a time, I'll admit that, and many people just think I'm so crazy to the point that, you know, I do tend to get under people's skin so quickly, I've noticed, even though what I say, you know, sometimes maybe not the right way, as I said in one of my videos of misunderstandings. Did I say that? But then again, you know, I'm starting to learn now that when I've been growing up, when I was younger, basically, there were certain restrictions on me that I couldn't say what I wanted to say in my mind for the fear of getting me maybe into trouble, or the fear of basically, like I said, losing friends. Even though I know that my parents wants the best out of me and in my everyday life, but there's certain people on the autism spectrum wants to basically get to the point where they want to feel accepted, want to explore more in their own world. Basically, you know, I'm trying to learn now, despite that, you know, I felt that I wasn't allowed to make mistakes, but then again, you know, trying to speak out my voice and concerns, which I'm doing now, present to you on this video. Gotta remember though, this is who and what I am. I'm not trying to do everything intentionally, you know, or on purpose. I could also script, as I said, and filter out certain thought patterns and behaviours pretty much to the point of no return. Because being unaware and undiagnosed at a young age was hard enough, and it's dangerous as well in female aspects. Because clinical doctors or anyone else in the medical field need to take us seriously to screen more, you know, basically more activities or more therapies that can actually help people around us. Because it can be dangerous to the point that many of autistic people, young or old, get taken advantage of so much because we are the vulnerable ones. Someone said in one of the videos I've been following about an Amanda Marshall song, pretty much clears it really up. Everyone's got a story. I've watched this music video and actually I enjoy this one. Anyway, before you judge someone on the outer surface of this person, think and get to know someone first before making that assumption or remove, you know, that mentality, because as we know that everyone's going through something and everyone's got a story, you know, of their own struggles and battles. Everyone's maybe going on their silent struggles and battles and fear that no one will listen and actually take note on us, you know, of what's to do. But to me, I want to make a stand for some of these people that are struggling and actually, you know, share my story. There are so many judgmental people and hypocritical people today, and that they need to remove what's inside of them, basically, in their heads of what they may think and feel about this person. Let's get it clear here, though. You don't have to have a disability to have everyday challenges on a different ability that approaches these challenges. Some people are so subjective about others around them and tend to belittle others that are different to them without giving them the benefit of the doubt of who they are and what they are. Sometimes I get treated unfairly and unjust due to some people may think I'm faking, acting, gaining sympathy and more. But many people think that, you know, I'm just an attention seeking, as I don't want to use this term, biatch that's out there right now, you know, just going on my merry way, and something going wrong, I'm crying out for like that little story of that little boy that cries wolf 3 times, and actually on the 3rd one when he did cry wolf, that there was actually wolf there. Sometimes, however, I feel that despite it all, no, that's not what I want from you. Basically, if you think I'm seeking attention, all I want from you guys is empathy and understanding from you all about this. Frustrating with having AS and we pick up to act normal. There are huge expectations to how we should be acting and thinking and doing things. Like I said, we can be nerdy and intellectual. We can be on the spectrum of basically being nerdy, geeky, whatever the like. Okay, to end this, we're all coping and not being acknowledged enough and not being commended enough to what we do and do more for others and ourselves. Sometimes we need to explain ourselves and trying to be judged, and there's not much compassion out there from others that are out there, okay? Sometimes we need to explain ourselves and try to be judged and not much, as I said. As I said, I push myself to the limits, and that I don't ask much or tell others to tell what I feel, and that again, if I did, I'm seeking attention or anything else. Many of us tend to lose ourselves. We need people to be more open-minded and more based on these conditions and more. You're not alone, however, guys. You know, as I said, I'm speaking my story. Hopefully, maybe you guys will do the same. Share it out, you know, to make an awareness and understanding what's going on out there. Just be brave and courageous enough. Like, I'm making that first step. There are many of us, however, that are struggling. There are a lot of us being judged and aren't opening up or wanting to share what matters the most to us in our everyday lives or for our stories. Invisible disabilities, society responds due to telling them you have an everyday challenge. Society needs to change their way of thinking and attitude to others, however. It doesn't help with the media, because obviously the media is a real bad thing right now. I look at in a lot of reasons, but I won't share that because people may hit on me about it. As we know that the media plays a huge part in our lives, be it, you know, socialising on networks, be it, you know, hidden messages of what we should be and not be. Yet with people to change their attitudes and thinking, we can go along in a way and achieve more in life. We can make a lot of difference in many people's lives, be it if we have AS, depression, whatever. Well, that wraps up my topic of invisible disability. Can you see me? Please like, comment, subscribe on my channel. Do feel free to share this video and any of the other videos that's been on my channel so far to create an awareness and understanding. It's nice to have a lot of support out there basically from others like me. That even though, like I said in one of my videos, there are support networks out there in the social networking community basically that I'm on, and I'm actually kind of blessed to have these people on board to actually share my stories, as I'm sure that they'll probably someday, up to them, share theirs. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all soon.